often you hear from folks that that a balanced budget amendment is too much policy, that you shouldn't amend constitutions or change constitutions to implant policy ideas. What about a balanced budget amendment do you think is appropriate for a constitutional amendment as opposed to just statutory change?
Well, Alexander Hamilton wrote in Federalist 78 that, we need to learn from experience. And one of the beauties of our Constitution, it does allow a mechanism for amending it when things are not working out as they anticipated. And they never anticipated the federal government having unfettered power to spend money and to spend us into debt and to spend our grandkids into debt. That was an erroneous interpretation of the existing Constitution. And the way to handle that structural problem is with a structural fix. A constitutional amendment provides that kind of structural fix. And we ought not to be surprised that people that have power don't often restrain themselves in the exercise of that power. But that's why we have the amendment process, to make sure that we, the people, have the ability to restrain them.
Now, some folks are concerned about states organizing a convention for proposing amendments, and there's a variety of different approaches out there. Regardless of the approach, what are your thoughts of the risks of states organizing a convention for proposing amendments if it's topic limited to something like a balanced budget amendment?
Well, I think the founders were wise here, as in many things. They understood that power doesn't check itself very readily, and that you had to have an outside of the government power to restrain it. And if Congress isn't going to propose the amendments to limit itself, then the Article 5 convention is the way to do that. The notion that that might be a runaway convention and they can do whatever they want is just not consistent with the language or the drafting of that Article 5 provision. But even if they didn't try and have a runaway convention and come up with crazy things, do we really think that 38 states in the country, which is necessary to ratify whatever craziness they come out of that convention, are going to go along with the scheme? Of course not. We have to have more faith in the American people in that.
Now, the Compact for a Balanced Budget is a unique way of deploying the convention mode of proposing amendments. What makes the Compact approach uniquely safe?
Well, because we've never done an Article 5 convention, there are a lot of unanswered questions. Who sets the rules? What kind of proposals can they come up with? One of the beauties of the Compact for America is it settles those things all in advance, and it does so in a legally enforceable way. Compacts among states are like contracts between individuals, and either party to the contract gets to enforce it. So if New York sends a delegation and then decides that its delegation is not bound by the rules that New York sent, it's not only New York that can challenge its delegation, but California or Arizona or Idaho or anybody else can challenge that delegation as well because they're violating the terms of the compact. I think it's a very good solution to what some people have proposed as hypothetical problems to a runaway convention.